Hey everyone, this is John at Far Reaches. I am in the woods on a beautiful, crisp morning. Behind me there is a stream that's flowing. There's some small waterfalls down there, and you can see there's kind of a campsite set up here as well. This is one of my favorite places in the entire area, one of my favorite trails. And it lies on the Finger Lakes Trail System, so you'll get some people hiking through and they'll stop here for an overnight rest. And it's just a beautiful area. So I wanted to come out here and share this video with you at this location. So this will be a longer video than I normally make. What I'd like to do today is talk to you about what this journey looks like for me to become a wilderness skills instructor and guide. So you know, if you've seen the previous videos, that about a month ago I attended a wilderness skills class down in Tennessee. It was an awesome class. It exceeded my expectations. There was a lot of content there, and I went into that class knowing that the organization was solid. Before I jump into things like that, I do a lot of homework. I read about the instructor, I read about the organization, I read about what other people have said that have gone through it. So I vetted this organization and the instructor a lot before I just jumped in. And part of that was because my thought was to want to pursue this to become an instructor. I wasn't sure if this was the organization that was the right fit for me, because there's a lot of them out there that will do this. But that class confirmed that this is the organization I'd like to continue down this journey with. So the organization is called, it's actually a handle of a gentleman who's called the Gray Bearded Green Beret. Kind of an interesting name. His name is Joshua Enyart. He is a combat veteran, Green Beret, Army Ranger. He had about 13 tours, Afghanistan, Iraq. Just a very seasoned veteran. And after he got out of the military, he really wanted to jump in headfirst with wilderness skills. And he's done that. He's created a great organization, and I'm glad to be going down that journey with him. And the other instructors as well. So what that process looks like, and back to his background. So some of you may or may not know, but Green Berets, in my opinion, are probably some of the best trainers in the world. Part of their mission is to go into indigenous populations and train up the people in these countries. That's part of what they do. They will go in, they'll educate them on how to build up their military so they can defend themselves. They will train them in basic infrastructure, basic government, all kinds of things. So they're trainers by trade, and that really came through in this class that I attended. So the training quality is top notch in my opinion. So I appreciate that about the instructor and the way he implements his classes. So back to the journey for becoming a wilderness skills guide with this organization. I've done a lot of trainer certifications in the past in a lot of different areas: firearms, medical, security training, all kinds of different things, personal defense. And there's a lot of training out there that will train you to be a trainer where it's minimal. You'll attend a 2, maybe 3-day class, and then at the end of that class, they'll sign off, you're blessed, you're an instructor. This is not like that at all. The Gray Bearded Green Beret, Josh, he will not sign off until he is 100% certain that you are ready to teach these skills. Not only teach the skills, but master the skills yourself. I would equate this to a graduate level education in wilderness skills. The coursework that I see, and by the way, I'll be referring to some of this throughout the video because there's a lot there to remember. But the level of comprehension and the level of competency that you have to have at the end of this is not just, it's not something that he takes lightly and that I would take lightly either. I want to be a true expert at the end of this journey. I don't want to take people out and be negligent or teach them things that won't serve them. So I want to make sure that I'm doing right by the people that I'll be taking out. And I believe that this journey will get me to that place. So the Wilderness Skills class is the one that I attended last month. And that's basically the foundational class for the program. You do the basics. You do basic firecraft. You do shelter creation. You'll do some basic land navigation. You do some foraging and tree and plant identification. That as well. There's some medical skills, basic knots and lashing, basic camp tools and how to use those, camp cooking, this kind of thing. A lot of that are things that I have done in the past, but it was great to refresh on those because that is the foundation for all the other classes. And that's a 4-day, 3-night class. You're out in the field, and most of the classes are similar to that time frame. The next class that I'll be taking is actually a winter skills class. That'll be in February, and that actually takes place up in Maine. So that is very similar to the wilderness skills class, except as you can imagine, in Maine in February, there's going to be some different challenges: extreme cold temperatures, snow, ice. It's just a different environment. A lot of the skills will be the same, but it's how to survive and thrive in that kind of harsh environment. Obviously, firewood is really important, so there's different tools that will be involved, axes, saws, that kind of thing, because fire is crucial in that kind of environment. How to maintain body core temperature, which is extremely important in that environment as well. Shelters, how to basically survive in that environment and feel comfortable, and get yourself to feeling comfortable enough. I'll say that. So I'm really looking forward to that class. That'll be in February. After that, there's another class. It's bushcraft skills. So what this is, it's another 4-day, 3-night course. You're going into the field, and compared to the basic wilderness skills class, you're relying less on technology. You're bringing in less modern technology with you. And what you're doing is trying to source materials that you'll be using more from your natural environment. So you dial back the clock a little bit. I think they say it's basically like you're going back about 120 years or so in technology to try to do the same thing you would do it in the wilderness skills class. You're making fires from flint and steel. You're using more primitive tools. You're doing some game processing and preserving while you're out there as well. Just using the natural environment to serve your needs more than hiking in with a bunch of modern gear. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Beyond that, the primitive skills class, and I think this is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. And I'm going to refer to my notes here because there's some really, really cool things here with that class. But basically what you're doing, you are walking into the woods with a knife and the clothes on your back, and that is it. So I'm really excited about that one. We talk about, like I talk a lot about what far reaches is. It's the unknown. It's a little bit scary. It's the challenge. It's the adversity. And that class really represents that to me. So I'm looking forward to that. So some of the things in the primitive class is learning how to make a fire, a friction fire. This is your bow drill, if some of you have heard of that. And a bamboo fire saw, which I don't even know what that is. What else here? Rock boiling, which I don't know what that is. But there's primitive basketry, primitive pottery, making traps, primitive navigation techniques, hide preservation, stone tools. So this stuff, that is going to be all completely new to me, and I'm really excited about that. So my plan is for each of these classes that I'll be taking in the future, I'll try to do some kind of a after action report to you all. I'll try to be better at documenting, maybe even video documenting my experience at some of these classes if I'm able to, and then sharing that with you a little bit more in the future. I didn't do that with the prior class, and I probably should have, but I'll try to do that in the future. In addition to these classes, there's also what's called a Master Navigator class, which I'm looking forward to that one as well, because I know that will be a challenging one. That is basically making you an expert in land navigation. Now, I was in the military, and we did basic land navigation, similar to what we did in my class last month, but this takes it to a whole nother level. Like I said, this gentleman, the gray bearded Green Beret obviously, Army Ranger, and they are arguably some of the best modern navigators in the world. The course that they have to complete to become a ranger and a Green Beret is some of the most difficult land navigation course out there. They are really good at what they do, and I'm looking forward to that. So I have a little bit of what that is here. So solar, celestial, and lunar navigation techniques, the PAL system of self-mapping, field expedient direction finding, understanding GPS, navigating with altimeters, dead reckoning, points, unknown points to find yourself if you're lost. So, in my opinion, that skill is probably, well, top 3 of most important skills you would need to know as a wilderness guide. Not only for yourself to be out there and navigate and be confident, but if you're taking people into the wild, into the unknown, into unmapped areas, so to speak, that you're not familiar with, you better know how to find your way out of there and to find potentially your students if they're lost. So if you're teaching people, if I'm teaching people land navigation and something goes wrong and I have to go find them, I better know how to get there and help them. And it makes me a better instructor as well if I'm an expert in that, just like all these other techniques that I hope to be an expert in someday also. But land navigation is crucial. In addition to that, there's also a wilderness medicine class that's required to be signed off as an instructor as well. I'm an EMT now. I've done some wilderness first aid, and I was actually a wilderness EMT, so a lot of that will be refresher as well. But that's another one that is critically important. You're taking people in the outdoors. There are hazards out here. I was hiking up here in the dark this morning, and there's a pretty significant drop off to the right of me that's slippery. There's sticks. There's a lot of things that can happen. Puncture wounds, just fractures, hypothermia, dehydration, just so many things. So being aware of the medical component is absolutely crucial. That would be one of those top 3 as well for being a successful wilderness guide. And then there's also a train the trainer class that will happen at the end. Once all of the core requirement classes are complete, there's a trainer class, and this basically is him showing us the behind the scenes methods of becoming an instructor, communication, how to run a class, some of the business side of things. So that's on the very end. But this video has been going for about almost 13 minutes now, and for those of you that have stuck in here, this probably interests you in some way if you watched this far. But I wanted to share this video because this is going to be a long journey. This could take 1, possibly 2 years. But like I said, in my opinion, this is graduate level education for wilderness skills. And again, what I really appreciate is you will not be signed off as an instructor in this organization until you not just know the skills and can do them, but you can identify, and this is what a good instructor does, you can identify the things that the students are doing wrong and help them figure out in a different way. That's what a good instructor does. So I appreciate that about this organization, and I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. So I hope you've enjoyed what I've talked about here today. I hope to see you all again soon. But for right now, this is John at Far Reaches. I hope you get out there and live a life worth living. See you out there.